What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some crazy battles in the single type cup, running a triple shadow team with all three Pokemon having the exact same moveset of Snarl, Psychic Fangs and Wild Charge. Psychic Fangs and Wild Charge creates probably the most frustrating guessing game when it comes to shield usage in all of GBL, so running three Pokemon with this moveset is going to be an absolute nightmare, not only for my opponents but also for myself. The main positive is that it makes for some incredibly entertaining battles where pretty much anything could happen. With that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which Pokemon do you think has the most annoying combination of a bait charge move and a nuke charge move in the Go Battle League? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, we lead Shadow Arcanine into Vigoroth. Now, typically we lose the one shield scenario unless the opponent throws at an awkward time, which they do here, throwing on alignment, so I'm going to be able to shield this up. They're one counter away from the back-to-back body slams, so I go for that Psychic Fang straight away, and we do grab the shield with the bait, lowering their defense, meaning a Wild Charge will be enough damage to one-shot the Vigoroth. We swap into our Luxray, preventing the farm down. They come in with a Shadow Ninetales. I'm going to shield up this charge move here. I will be able to outpace them to back-to-back charge moves, but I'm going to go for a Psychic Fangs bait. This is very risky, very unnecessary, but we do grab the shield. Now I can go for the Wild Charge, and this will easily be enough to one-shot the Ninetales. They've got a Charm Gramble in the back. We should just about live 4 charms, make it to the Wild Charge on the Shadow Manectric, and this will once again be one-shotting the Shadow Gramble, and I'm able to take that game. So 3 Wild Charge nukes landing in that first battle. That's what you can expect throughout the video. But into the next battle here, we see a Sirfetch'd in the lead. Now, another counter user, not very comfortable, but Psychic Fangs honestly would do quite a lot of damage. We do grab an early shield, and once again, the opponent throwing an awkward time here, so I will be able to easily make it to a Psychic Fangs. But what I don't want to do is shield and then fully farm me down. So once again, gonna swap into my Shadow Luxray, and again, they throw on alignment, giving me 1 extra Snarl for free. So now I'm even going to be able to overfarm by 1 Snarl, go for the Psychic Fangs, and now they're double debuff. That easily takes out the Sirfetch'd, and let's see what the opponent has in the back. They come in with a Muck, and then they swap into Cofagrigus, so I'm going to go for the Wild Charge here, and this will be doing so much damage to the Cofagrigus. They do get the farm down, but they're in range where I should be able to Snarl, farm them down with my Shadow Manectric before they make it to a charge move. We do get the farm down. They come back in with the Muck. I'm going straight for that Wild Charge, and this Wild Charge nearly one-shots them. We swap into Arcanine. The opponent has to throw their energy, otherwise they would be Snarl farm down, but I'm able to Snarl farm them down with my Manectric and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we see an Umbreon in the lead. Now, this is something, I had the Arcanine in the lead as it felt more like an AVB style team, but honestly, they basically all do the exact same thing, so it doesn't really matter which order we play them in, but having a non-stab Wild Charge user in the lead means that against Umbreon leads, we actually can't take them out with 2 Wild Charges, so I do either have to swap out of that matchup or just play it out and lose. But what I do here is I come in with my Shadow Arcanine. We did just barely hang on to a Thunder Punch with our Luxray, but I was only able to get off 1 charge move, and here, this is a massive mistake. I should have just thrown the Psychic Fangs earlier. Instead, I throw just as they're reaching a charge move, and because we didn't debuff them straight away, we don't get the farm down in time, and now I had to use a shield. You can see that Wild Charge does a pretty pathetic amount of damage to that Umbreon, in all honesty, considering Wild Charge is a super hard hitting charge move. But here we go for the Wild Charge, grabbing the final shield. The opponent correctly times that, throwing just as I make it to another Wild Charge. Moonblast easily takes me out. We do get to a Wild Charge, but non-stab, once again, it would not be enough damage to take out the Clefable, so they're able to take me out with a Meteor Mash, and I do unfortunately lose that game. But into the next battle, we see a Porygon Z in the lead, or was it 2? I can't actually tell. It is a Porygon 2, sorry, and they go for a Tri-Attack that does get the debuff. The opponent then swaps into Sylveon. Very nice catch here, catching a Psychic Fangs, but I do just barely make it to a Wild Charge. They are now debuffed. They might shield this up. They do shield up the Wild Charge, and now Charm up against my backline is quite scary, considering they are both very classy Pokemon. Gonna go for the Wild Charge here, hoping they let this go through. They do. It one-shots the Sylveon, and now they come back in with the Porygon 2. We've got 2 shields shields here, so I might as well just overfarm massively. The opponent actually goes for Zap Cannon. Why did they do that? I have no idea, but I'm going to shield it up anyways. Go for the Wild Charge, take out the Porygon 2. They've got Sudowoodo in the back, and now this is kind of scary. We've already debuffed our defense. Can we make it to a Wild Charge in time? We do get there, and this should be grabbing the final shield from the opponent, which it does. And now can we make it to one final Wild Charge on the Luxray? We barely get there in time, and this Wild Charge will easily be enough to one-shot the Sudowoodo, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, Shadow Arcanine into Ninetales. So this should be a good lead for us, but honestly, we take a lot of damage. If they go for like a Psyshock here or an Overheat, they do... I'm going to let this move go through, and it is just a Weather Ball, which is fine, but I overfarm here, meaning I'm not going to get to back-to-back charge moves, as I just threw on CMP, and they are now able to get off the charge move here. I'm going to shield this up, go for another Wild Charge. I will overfarm in this matchup, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to live that last Fire Spin. So I've got back-to-back charge moves, but we don't get it off, which is really unfortunate. Or, I say unfortunate, sort of just bad play from my end, so not really unfortunate. But we're now going to have to throw this Wild Charge straight away to get rid of the Ninetales. We do take them out. They come in with a Muck. I'm going to come in with my Shadow Manectric, go for that Wild Charge straight away, and this Wild Charge nearly one-shots them. They live with like 1 HP remaining. We're going to come back in with the Luxray. We make it to the Wild Charge in time, and this will easily be able to one-shot the Shadow Grand Ball. But they're able to Poison Jab, farm down the Luxray, and take that game. So I definitely misplayed it in the lead matchup there, but a very close game overall. So GG's to that opponent. Into the next battle, we see a Meganium in the lead. They say swap into Hypno, so I'm going to go for a Wild Charge here and then dip into my Shadow Luxray. We do grab an early shield advantage, which is great. We're now going to shield this up, and they go for a Shadow Ball, so I now know that they're quite far away from the next charge move. I try to throw on CMP tie here. We go for the Wild Charge, and Wild Charge does take out the Hypno. They come back in with the Meganium. I'm hoping I can make it to back-to-back charge moves, so I go for a Psychic Fangs. It does debuff them, and we do make it to a second Psychic Fangs, and this will debuff their defense by 2 stages now. Gonna come in with the Arcanine. This is not enough for an Earthquake, although Frenzy Plant still does big damage, so I swap into my Shadow Manectric. They've got a Registeel in the back, and this is a pretty decent matchup as we take very little damage from the lock-ons. We go for a Wild Charge. That does so much damage to Registeel, considering that's just a neutral charge move there. I'm now going to build to the back-to-back Psychic Fangs, hoping they shield the first one, as the second one will now do more damage, and I hope with the debuff this will be enough, even resisted, to take them out, and it is enough damage, and now they're 5 away from the next charge move. I just tried to swap and catch a move there, just in case Psychic Fangs didn't KO, but honestly, it should be able to easily KO from this range, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we see Shadow Arcanine into Vigoroth once again. So once again, kind of just hoping that my opponent throws at an awkward time. And once again they do. They throw, I think that was straight away. So now I can go for one Snarl, go for the Psychic Fangs. And this will debuff their defense. We do grab that shield as well. And now I can make it to the Wild Charge on the CMP tie. And if they let this move go through, then Wild Charge will be taking out the Vigoroth. We swap into our Shadow Luxray. They come in with a Hypno. We throw on alignment, which is really poor from me. I'm hoping they let this move go through, and they do. Wild Charge one-shots the Hypno. They come in with a Charm Clefable. This is not looking too good for us, but I'm hoping I can make it to a charge move on my Shadow Arcanine, and honestly, I need them to shield this. I know Wild Charge would not be enough damage to take them out non-stab, but we do grab the shield, and now I will be able to make it to a Wild Charge on my Shadow Manectric. I overfarm just in case for whatever reason it doesn't take them out, but I need one more Snarl. But it would easily take out the Clefable with that debuff, and I'm able to take that game. So into the next battle, we see Cofagrigus in the lead. Now I'm going to swap into my Shadow Luxray here. And I go for the Psychic Fangs straight away, throwing as I reach a Wild Charge, but the opponent calls the bait, so very nice play. We now make it to another Wild Charge. I'm going to go for another bait with the Psychic Fangs. And again, they call the bait, and now I have another Wild Charge loaded. We go for the Psychic Fangs, expecting they have to shield, but they don't shield. They call the bait once again, and This is why Jamie Finn hates masturbators, because it just doesn't work out, and yeah, we are now absolutely screwed. Gonna shield up the second body slam, hoping I can snarl farm them down with all those defense debuffs, and we do get the farm down, and like, come on, surely at this point you have to start using your shields, right? So they come back in with the Cofagrigus, we go for the Psychic Fangs here, and we do at least finally grab a shield. We swap into our Shadow Manectric, I have to shield this up, and the opponent goes for the Psychic there. They don't get the defense drop, but they have a Shadow Ninetales in the back. We've baited so many times, hopefully they call a bait here, but they don't. They do shield it up, and this will easily take me out, and they should just be able to fully fire spin, farm down my Arcanine, and I do unfortunately lose that game. So definitely baited way too many times in that battle, but we live and we learn. Into the next battle, we see Clefable in the lead. The opponent's going to swap into a Vigoroth, and because they had to swap out, and it does require one turn to do so, I will now be able to make it to the Psychic Fangs and the Wild Charge, even though they did throw at good timing. So once again, gonna go for that Psychic Fangs, grab the shield, go for a Wild Charge. Wild Charge takes out yet another Vigoroth, and they come back in with the Clefable here, and they do barely outpace me as I had to swap out of that matchup. They go for the Meteor Mash, that is resisted, but honestly it probably would do quite a lot of damage. We now make it to the back-to-back Wild Charges. The first one grabs the shield, the second one will not be shielded. They have no shields remaining, and it does take out the Clefable. They've got Registeel in the back, and this is absolutely great for me. We farm over by just one snarl here, go for the Wild Charge. That does big damage to the Registeel. They do throw, they're probably at 100 energy, which makes sense. Focus Blast takes me out. We come in with the Shadow Manectric, and they actually outpace me to a charge move because they did overfarm. Focus Blast one-shots the Shadow Manectric, but that's fine. We're just 3 snarls away from the Wild Charge on the Arcanine. I wanted to just showcase what my third Pokemon was, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, it looks like we started it straight away because I've accidentally organized these clips a bit weirdly, so apologies for that. But Umbreon in the lead, we go for a Wild Charge here. We both did farm up a ton of energy. I swap into my Shadow Luxray. They're going to go for a charge move. We can live a foul play, and we can't really afford to shield charge moves that we do comfortably live here, so I'm going to go for a Wild Charge. I really hope this KOs from this range, but it barely doesn't take out the Umbreon, and that's really unfortunate, and that's why I'd love to see, or I'd love to use Luxray in the lead instead of having Arcanine there, because a second Wild Charge from Luxray would take them out with the snarl damage, but unfortunately that's not the case here. We're now going to be able to go for back-to-back Psychic Fangs, debuffing them initially and then debuffing them again, also grabbing a shield on that first charge move. We're now going to come in with the Manectric. They've got a Shadow Muck, and I'm just going to go for the Psychic Fangs straight away here. This does debuff them, it does big damage, and now I'm going to bank a Wild Charge before swapping into my Shadow Arcanine. They go for the Dark Pulse there, we bank a Wild Charge, we get the farm down, and now I need them to shield this charge move. I go for the Wild Charge anyways, hoping it does do enough damage, but it doesn't. The opponent correctly knowing that a non-stab Wild Charge is not going to be enough to take them out, and now they can just easily shield this up, go for the Shadow Claw farm down, and I do unfortunately lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, another Cofagrigus in the lead, gonna swap into our Shadow Luxray, and this time they swap into Vigoroth. We're gonna go for the Psychic Fangs bait once again, and Psychic Fangs does go unshielded, so now I'm just gonna commit to the Wild Charge here. There's no point baiting once again, we've seen it already, and Wild Charge does take out the Vigoroth, but they get a nice farm down with the Cofagrigus. I'm going to shield this up. It's probably gonna be a Dark Pulse. It is the Dark Pulse, which is unfortunate, but I will make it to a Wild Charge, but I don't throw right away, and now they make it to another one, which we do barely live. I'm now going to go for a Wild Charge here. I'm hoping that I've got a Psychic Fangs banked as well. I tried to go for it, but I was not there yet, and that has just given them extra energy for no reason whatsoever. We're now going to shield up the Dark Pulse, and also we now don't have a potential catch here, but I go for a Psychic Fangs into whatever it is they swapped into, Shadow Machamp, and we make it to another Psychic Fangs on the CMP tie. But look at that counter damage. That has got me so low that I'm actually now going to be able to get fully farmed down by the Shadow Claws, and I do lose yet another game. But into the next battle, we see Umbreon in the lead, getting a bit annoyed of these Umbreon leads as Arcanine just feels kind of useless up against it. But the opponent overfarms massively, and now I've got back-to-back Wild Charges to throw. I might as well just throw them here, so I'm going to go for the first one, and this actually grabs a shield from the opponent there. So interesting. I guess I could be running like Fire Blast, which would do a ton of damage even to Umbreon. But now we're going to swap into our Shadow Luxray, let the first charge move go through once again. Foul Play does deal some nice damage. They swap into Muck. I'm going to go straight for that Wild Charge, and this Wild Charge does big damage. They do get the Poison Jab farm down though. And now I'm going to wait out the switch card, come in with my Shadow Manectric. I'm not quite able to snarl farm them down. They get to a Thunder Punch, even though it's resisted. I kind of have to shield it up. Shadow Manectric is the glassiest of these three Pokemon. Excuse me there. We go for the Wild Charge, grabbing the final shield. We swap into Arcanine, basically force them to throw the energy, but they don't. Instead, they bank a ton of energy. They swap into Clefable, and that is a mistake because now I know Shadow Manectric is easily going to win the CMB tie up against an Umbreon. So all I have to do is bank back-to-back charge moves before throwing my Wild Charge here. So I'm going to go for it here. I'm just going to go for the Wild Charge. No messing around. No need to go for a Psychic Fangs. It takes out Clefable, and we've got the second Wild Charge loaded to go into the Umbreon, and it takes them out from half health, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, another Umbreon in the lead. It's a very common lead in this cup, which is unfortunate. Maybe I should have just swapped it up and gone for the Luxray in the lead, but it is what it is. We are going to let this move go through and then once again go for the back-to-back Wild Charges here. This first one will not do enough damage to get them into the half health, but I'm just going to throw the second one straight away. We do actually grab a shield there. I realise they're going to snarl, farm me down, so I swap into my Shadow Luxray. They go for a Foul Play, that does a lot of damage, and they're already at another Foul Play, and honestly, they're probably just a few fast moves away from the next one, so I can't overfarm by much, and unfortunately, they are already at the next Foul Play, so Umbreon is just causing so much havoc to my team here. Gonna go for that Wild Charge, and from this range, Wild Charge does take out the Umbreon. They've got Clefable in the back, so I go for the Wild Charge here into Clefable. I then swap into Arcanine, hoping I would reach a Wild Charge, but I don't quite get there in time. But I have cleared the debuff on my Luxray. Hopefully we make it on the Luxray, and we do just about get there. Is this going to be enough to take out Clefable? No, it's barely not enough. I hope they go for a blind Meteor Mash here, but they're probably going to go for that Moonblast. It one-shots Manectric, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But into the final battle, we lead into a Shadow Donphan. So technically a ground type does completely destroy this team, but they're running Counter and Body Slam. They have to go all the way to an Earthquake to hit for ground type damage. But they're probably just not going to do that. So I'm going to shield this up. I will be able to make it to another Psychic Fangs. And if they shield that up, then I will swap into my Shadow Luxray once again. So we go for Psychic Fangs number 2. Grab a shield. We swap into the Luxray. And the opponent is actually going to overfarm massively. So I will shield this up. And they actually did full send the Earthquake there. Completely unnecessary, as a Body Slam probably takes us out from that range. But we're now going to go for the Wild Charge into the Registeel. That does big damage. We can go for a second one straight away, just guaranteeing the KO or a shield here. We do grab the final shield, and the opponent does throw just as we reach a Psychic Fangs. They actually go for Zap Cannon for some reason, so not so sure about that. There was no need to go for it. They could have just gone for the Focus Blast, but now I come in with my Shadow Manectric. We swap, we go for the catch. The opponent has to throw their energy. They will not be able to lock on farm me down. They go for yet another Zap Cannon. The opponent tries to catch a move here on the Donphan. They are unsuccessful, and they have a Charm Granbull. We're easily going to be able to one-shot the Granbull with a Wild Charge here, and we have a second Wild Charge loaded to throw into the Registeel that comes back in, and we're able to take out the Registeel and take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.